Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We are continuing our series of daily morning meditations where we generally look at one or another of lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the Daily Office Lectionary. And today is Monday, and I thought we would go ahead and take a look again at the lesson that's appointed for evening prayer from the Acts of the Apostles. It's the second lesson in evening prayer. We're going to actually jump forward a little bit into the reading and look at chapter 23, beginning at verse 6. Now remember a little bit of background that Paul has been arrested for witnessing the good news of God in Jesus Christ, and the Jews that were from Asia that saw Paul teaching in the temple wanted to stone him, wanted to kill him, right? Because they believed that he had brought a Gentile into the temple. Of course, he hadn't. They were mistaken about that, but bringing them up on false charges and false accusations is something even our Lord witnessed with a zeal to try to destroy him. And so they're trying to destroy Paul as well. But thankfully, the Romans grabbed him up and protected him. All they saw was the tumult. They didn't care about the theological argument. They just cared about the tumult. And so it was that they went ahead and they said, let's pull this Paul fellow aside and hear what's going on. So we begin this hearing that's going on. And on the morrow, they brought him down. They sat down before the council, and this is what they heard. Verse 6. But when Paul perceived that one part were Sadducees and the other Pharisees, he cried out in the council, "Men and brethren, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. Of the hope and resurrection of the dead, I am called into question." And when he had so said, there arose a dissension between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the multitude was divided. For the Sadducees say there is no resurrection, neither angel nor spirit, but the Pharisees confess both. For there arose a great cry, and the scribes that were of the Pharisees' part arose and strove, saying, "We find no evil in this man, but if a spirit or an angel hath spoken unto him, let us not fight against God." And when there arose a great dissension, the chief captain, fearing lest Paul should have been pulled in pieces of them, commanded the soldiers to go down and take him by force from among them, and to bring him into the castle. And the night following, the Lord stood by him and said, "Be of good cheer, Paul. For as thou hast testified of me in Jerusalem, so must thou bear witness also at Rome." Okay, so here it is. Paul, in some ways, you'd say he's cunning, but he is testifying about the resurrection, right? He's talking particularly about the resurrection of Jesus Christ, but realizing that these two different camps of people were there pointing at Paul and accusing Paul. Paul uses this to his advantage. He says, "Look, I'm just talking about the resurrection." And that, of course, set the Pharisees and the Sadducees now at enmity with each other. The Pharisees believed there was a resurrection. They just didn't believe that Jesus was the resurrection, right? Jesus said, "I am the resurrection, the way, the truth, and the life," right? Nobody comes to the Father but by Jesus. He is the resurrection. And so it is because of that they start fighting among themselves. And we even hear some of the scribes who work for the Pharisees are like, "We don't find fault in this guy, let's let him go," right? Because they were more important about defending their cause and their belief over above the Sadducees than they were in dealing with the actual thing about Paul. And once again, such a tumult arises that the soldiers arrest him again. But Paul's consoled by our Lord himself to let him know that he is in fact going to the place that he has yearned to go to. He's even written an epistle to Rome, the only city that we have an epistle to that he hadn't been to yet before he wrote it, right? All the other places, he's writing back to places that he had been a part of and helped to form the churches there. And he wrote the letter to the Romans forward, and so of course the letters to the Romans we read yesterday at Mass and at morning prayer. But Paul desires to go to Rome, and so Jesus tells him, "Just as you've testified of me in Jerusalem, so thou must bear witness also at Rome." And we know that he will go to Rome to die. So today's Monday, 12:15, Holy Communion. I hope to see you in church, and may God bless you.